This is episode 15 of Pro Audio Deal or Disaster, the series where we look at pro audio and sound system listings online and talk about the deals and the gear and share stories about the experiences we've had using this stuff in the past. I'm only one person though, and the best part of this series is hearing your stories.
Welcome to Storytellers.
And learning from your experiences in the comments of these videos. So thank you so much to everyone who joins in. Listed. Now this was only listed 4 hours ago, so maybe this person's planning on coming back with the actual details, but they want $2,300 and their description is 4 Meer sound in very good condition converted to full range. One picture, $2,300, 4 Meer sound, and they've been converted. This is an absolutely classic Facebook marketplace listing here. Huge sound system.
Huge is right.
$15,000 marked down from $20,000 in St. George, Utah. This sound system is capable of delivering huge,
sometimes they say huge,
clear sound that is perfect for large venues or outdoor events. It is a high-end unit that ensures top-notch audio quality for any musical performance. Now, they do have some nice microphones there. They got some nice-looking mics. So, what do we got here? My goodness, $15,000 marked down from $20,000. I see a single CS400 PV amp down at the bottom. Tascam 202 Mark II. Dual cassette deck. BBE exciter. Carvin patch bay. I'm not getting anywhere close to $15,000 so far. Something about Facebook listings where you've got to have at least 2 power conditioners in every rack. Okay, we got more amplifiers here. We've got a drive rack PA, another Furman, just one this time. Looks like we've got the voltage meter version there. And QSE 3402, a 3402, a Crown CE4000, and a Crown CE4000. So, fair amount of amplifiers for the speakers that were shown. Yeah, looks like just the 4 community speakers. Mackie 24.4 VLZ mixer. And I remember these community speakers when they came out. They get loud. They're not particularly easy to get them up in the air, though, is the problem. Like if you're just stacking these, they're not that high. So you got to get them up in the air to get them over the heads of the crowd if you're trying to reach any sort of decent crowd. If you just stack them this high, they'll definitely get loud, but you're going to soak up most of that energy with the first few rows of people. And the patch bay, 1/4-inch patch bays in a live sound system, not my favorite thing. This is a Behringer digital EQ. Was semi-popular when they first came out, but they're kind of a pain in the ass to work with, to be honest with you. It's a lot of scroll to get the frequency you want, and then up or down. And then you got to scroll, back to the frequency you want in the other direction. So it's not a particularly fast EQ, but you can save EQs and stuff like that. That was a big selling point on that kind of stuff. So yeah, he doesn't really give any information as to whether, all these amplifiers are just for those mains or if there's some monitors that go along with this system. This is the kind of thing, just as a tip to anybody trying to sell a sound system in the future, if you're trying to get $15,000 for anything, you got to be a bit more specific. Like you got to open these cases up. You got to take some pictures and make a list of what all this stuff is and what condition it's in, if it's working, or at least when the last time it did work.
When somebody says a bike runs, that means it run when they parked it.
And, then you might have some people making some offers, but, $20,000 or $15,000 and you got a handful of photos. You got some microphones, but none of this is anything to get excited about when you're talking about $15,000. These are just decent-ish microphones. And again, when was the last time they were used or cleaned or maintained? Because those Beta 58s look rusty. And if those are rusty, I don't want any of the rest of your microphones. They're all suspect.
Yes, suspect.
So yeah, if you're selling anything ever, be specific, show good pictures, and make it easy for people that want to give you money to decide to do that. Don't make them ask you a bunch of questions, because this system, like even this rack, makes no sense. Like, what were you using any of this for in the context of this sound system, because it doesn't make much sense to me. Let me know what you think, though. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood. Here's another listing that's been up 37 weeks with no price reduction. They're at $1,700, which just off the top of my head, I know is high for an Avid D Command ES. But this one here has been refurbished, essentially refurbished.
Your friend here is only mostly dead.
They've replaced the LED power supply. The fader power supply has been replaced. Grounding has been secured. Yeah, that's a good idea. Connectors have been cleaned and general cleaning across the board. These are the main issues these units have, and so this unit should last a long time. This comes with a V-Control Pro Plus, so it can be used with nearly any DAW, not just Pro Tools. That's very nice. This includes Cubase, Nuendo, Studio One, Logic, and more. I've used it with all of those DAWs. Very good. Check out the photos. There is some small cosmetic wear, but this control surface has a great feel and control for everything, very ergonomically placed. The fader feel is premium. Reach out with any questions, and this is in Los Angeles. So it looks like those are going for a good bit less on Reverb and Vintage King. And so yeah, on this, I think the $1,700 is probably a fair price if you add in what the D Command ES normally goes for used, plus the V-Control Pro Plus, plus the fact that it's been refurbished. But of course, if you have gear of this age and you pay to refurbish it, you very rarely see that refurbishment money come back as an add-on. You can't really recoup the refurbishment money. If the thing needs repair, you just got to do it. You got to spend that money. So you're looking for a buyer that really values that V-Control Pro Plus and the features they are using this with a bunch of other DAWs. So yeah, this is going to be a tough sale. I'm not saying it's not worth $1,700, but you're definitely looking for a very unique buyer for somebody that's going to value this at what it's, probably actually worth. I always like these trailer listings a lot, and this person's done a really nice job of breaking down what's being offered in this listing, along with what they think each piece is worth, roughly. They give a total here for the items listed as $13,200, and say they're accepting offers. They originally listed it for $10,000, and they've had this on the market now for 22 weeks, but they've reduced it to $6,000. So that's a heck of a reduction and maybe a fair price here. Let's jump into it. We've got a 6x10 trailer that looks to be in pretty good shape. And if it's a California trailer all its life, then it's probably fairly rust-free depending on where it's spent most of its time. But the tires certainly look like they're in fair condition. The spare looks recently replaced, and I don't see a whole lot of rust or any weird damage. We've seen trailers before in the series that look a lot worse for the wear. So this one looks really nice and tidy inside and out. So the system is a 6x10 trailer, an Allen & Heath QU32, which they're valuing at around $2,000, as well as the trailer around $2,000. This is the original valuations they did. An SKB case for the mixer with the doghouse. And then we've got JBL MRX 525, 4 of those. JBL MRX 518, 4 of those for the subs. 3 SR 4702 monitors. And some various snakes and a Rapco snake, speaker cables for everything, 15 mic stands, the racks for the amplifiers along with the crown, and Mackie amps, which I don't believe are pictured, but I bet we all know what an XTI 4000 looks like. There's 4 of those. And Mackie M1400, there's 2 of those. So overall, fair. Yeah, but let me know what you think on this one. I'm wondering why this hasn't had more interest. I think realistically, somebody that's really interested in the QU32 and maybe the trailer could, buy this package and sell some of the other stuff that they're not going to use, like the old school SR series monitors. And, if you're not interested in the MRX speakers, you could certainly sell those on and, make some money back. Now, it doesn't look like they're providing any microphones or anything like that, so you'd have to bring some stuff to the party here to be a real turnkey sound system. But for the sound system end of it, $6,000 seems reasonable, at least. Let me know what you think, though. I'm dying to hear what your thoughts are on that price. That's again, very steep price reduction, and it's nice to see a good listing, a fair price, and I'm wondering why this has been on the market quite so long. So this listing caught my attention because it was a Bass Boss sound system, and I've only ever been exposed to them at trade shows, specifically the NAMM show. They participated in the speaker shootout a couple of times while I was there. And while I only got to hear their systems briefly, a lot of people were very interested. It seemed like they have a following, maybe specifically in the DJ world. I'm not super sure, honestly. But the folks that worked for the company were really nice, genuine people to talk to. And they certainly sell a fair amount of this stuff from what I understand. So tell me what you think if you're out near Van Nuys, California, if $750 for a rental for one night is low or high, or what do you think of it? They're saying perfect for music events, weddings, banquet halls, etc. Provide coverage for 200 to 500 people. Comes with 2 ZV-28 Mark III and 2 DV-12S Mark II. Assume those would be 2 tops, 2 subs. Booth audio for a DJ. You get a couple of TurboSound IQ 18Bs and a couple of Electro Voice ZLX 12Ss. So that comes with setup and transport in the LA area, only available Saturdays and Sundays, limited Fridays, and can throw in an XD-JXZ rental and DJ table with the rental. So yeah, if you're out there in Van Nuys.
So here's Van Nuys Boulevard.
And you are in the wedding rental market, let me know what you think. $750 delivered for a sound system like this, for a full DJ system, essentially. Who knows if they provide cables and power and all that kind of stuff, or if they have lighting package options that you can add on. That would be smart if they did. They could certainly provide a lot more than just a sound system, I'm sure, to a lot of wedding clients. And yeah, there you go. The subs, dual 18s. We got the tops. We're just stacking those right on top. No poles to go between them. And yeah, there they are. Again, very low down. You see them kind of below the heads of the crowd. That's kind of what we were talking about before in those community speakers, you know, covering 200 to 500 people with this system. You're certainly not going to do that with any sort of clarity when they are stacked that low. So yeah, you're going to lose a fair amount of that coverage by just firing them straight into the audience at face level. And it's also pretty uncomfortable for the folks up front, although that's generally not such a big deal for a DJ setup because the dance floor is kind of a fluid thing and people will just move out of the way. But still, be better to get those speakers up a little bit and have a little more even coverage from front to back as opposed to just spraying them right into the crowd. Let me know what you think, though.